is absolutely a smoke show. Yeah, you zoom back out. Look good, Dave.
Yeah, my
Uh,
bad.
things are on absolute fire in the portal. It is absolute madness, and I'm here for every bit of it. Let's go over who currently is visiting. There's one more person on this list that I don't have, but that's because we've got good news on them. Casas Howell, Bowling Green Edge. We've been talking a lot about him. We've got some news about him here in a moment. John Humphrey, who's currently committed to USC, by the way. So we got him to come visit after he committed in the portal. Love that kind of mentality. George Gums, he is from Northern Illinois. He's currently committed to Cincinnati. Got him to come and visit. Alongside Devin Manuel, offensive tackle from Arkansas, is also visiting right now. Look, the one good thing I will say about portal visits is there's a pretty high success rate. Look at the last set of visits we had. We landed a couple of them. We did not land the one defensive lineman. He went to South Carolina, I believe, from Pitt. But we got Joey Slackman, we got Bridges, and Shamir DK, who was like silent, kind of like a silent visit. So I think there was one more we may have missed on. But either way, very healthy when the guys come visit in the portal. It's not like a typical OV like recruits where they're just hanging out there. I mean, you got to feel pretty confident in these guys that are visiting. Let's go over these stats. We talked about Casas Howell. Give us some noise on George Gums, Dave.
George Gums. See, I was trying to pull him up, but he's not wanting to pull up right now. But George Gums.
Who
See,
do you got then if you want to go over who you got first?
I got Cassius Howell here. So yeah, Cassius Howell. It's the guy the Bowling Green guy that I was always very, very ecstatic over. I mean, this kid has. I think he's only got like maybe 2 years of eligibility right now because he did not play in 2020. Played very, very few snaps 2021, 2022. He played a little bit more 2023. Could have 3 years there. But I mean, the guy's got a pass rush grade of 90. I mean, like if you have a pass rush grade of 90 and you're an edge, you're doing your job right. I mean, he's had 10 sacks last year, 24 quarterback hurries, 7 quarterback contacts. I mean, this guy has been all over the field. All you got to do is pop on the field and look at it. And a lot of these guys, they're not highly recruited, and they go to these lower rated schools, and then they develop. Or maybe they were just guys that none of the scouts saw, and they wound up being on a team called Bowling Green, and now that's why they enter the portal because they know how good that they are, and they say, hey, I'm good enough to play at a higher rated school. So they hop into the portal, and then luckily, University of Florida, they take a visit, and maybe you can get him out of it, like a Joey Slackman that played in the Ivy League. He's very, very good, comes here. And when he gets here, he can put on more of a show for the NFL because he's playing at a prolific school in the SEC, and that helps their draft status as well. So I've always said it. I've always thought that, you know, you want to get kids from Power Five teams that are really, really good, but at the same time, you also want to look at like the lower rated schools that have like really good players that enter the portal because those players know that they're good and the coaches know that they're good and they work their way up. It's not like a guy that, a guy from Bowling Green that's not really that good is not going to really enter the portal unless he's just not starting. But a guy, most of the time, those lower rated schools, a guy that's really, really good does enter the portal. And then you get a really quality guy on your team for at least a year, maybe two, maybe three, depending on the years of eligibility. So Cassius Howell is a guy that I've been very, very high on since he's entered the portal and since he's visited Florida. I think right now he is kind of crystal ball to Florida. We'll see what happens with that. But if we were to get him,
Don't get ahead of my slides here, Dave. Damn.
my bad.
That's page 5.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that. I'll get back to 4 there. But if we were to get him, I mean, I'd be pretty ecstatic, especially when you add Joey Slackman there as well.
It's hey,
That's
on
just an
on
elite
top of
portal addition to
on
me.
George Gums, who you refuse to look up as well. I mean, look, you add a nice little collection on top of what's already there, who we've got to be excited about. You got alongside LJ McCray, Justice Boone, who's coming back, Big Dez in the center, Cam Jackson. All of a sudden, this defensive line, big boys. You know, I told you I was going to be telling you some lies. And listen here. All right. So those things get me excited. We've got John Humphrey again, cornerback. Do you have anything on John Humphrey to go over?
John Humphreys, PFF's like just being weird today. So
Throwing you
John
fits?
Humphrey, huh? Yeah, it totally fits. It's not even like it'll sit there and then it'll just say loading and then it doesn't load. So look, we'll do John Humphrey, nothing.
I got this, boys.
Go ahead, man. But UCLA, also Ratcliffe. Forgot about Ratcliffe too.
Yeah, Ratcliffe. When is he? But he hasn't visited yet, though. Correct?
No, but I think he intends to visit there as well.
And he's
So anyway,
and he's currently committed as well somewhere.
Yeah, he is committed to UCLA right now. Yes.
Real quick, while we pull that up, we got 800 people in here. Be sure to smash the like button and subscribe. Army Sniper, who agreed to be much happier this year, clearly is not. Napier is going after Group 5 players. Does UF's collective not have portal Power 5 money? Example: Kiffin and his portal grabs. Again, I don't have the password to the bank account. They took me off of it. But from what I've seen, Hal being one of those guys who's been vocal, and I'm not trying to like, I know people have their feelings on Hal, but I would assume he's quite connected. Something that he's reiterated multiple times is there's an allotted budget. Let's just call it $1 million, okay? And you got some to go to recruiting and some go to the portal. If you take a look at Ole Miss's recruiting class, it's nowhere near compared to what Ole Miss's recruiting class is. So I would say we're splitting our budget more 60-40, 50-50, where Ole Miss is more 80-20, 20 to recruiting, 80 to the portal. That's just my opinion on it. Again, I don't know on the money perspective, but if you got to think there's a cap on it, and that's how I feel it's been utilized. Which way is the better way? We'll find out, I guess. It feels like Lane Kiffin's pulling kind of like a Los Angeles Rams, where they're going in. This is the year they got to go and get it done. FSU did it this year, but Tennessee did it, 2 years ago in a way. But once you blow your gasket's blown. I think, the path that we're headed on is more of what Georgia and Bama, where you can create consistency over the one-time pop. But that's also my thought. Brian Fisher, running backs, $5. Thank you, Brian. Running back is the most expendable position on all levels. That's why the NFL don't pay them. Fix the O-line, and anybody can run the ball. Exactly. That's what I was just saying. There's a reason why those guys are having a hard time, even some of the best, like Saquon and Dalvin Cook had a hard time finding a job because look, the next guy coming up here just runs the ball just as effectively. We put some guys that can block him. Zeke, who dominated the football field for quite some time, kind of was nowhere to be found once Tony Pollard came in and started catching the ball in the backfield, right? You become more versatile as well. So what are you going to provide for me? What have you done for me lately is always the big thing. Now let's move on to the transfer portal. Let's keep this hotness rolling. These are some crystal balls that have come flowing in. So DJ Douglas is also there on a visit. I didn't put him on the graphic because I just didn't have enough room. And I also knew that he was going to be on the next page. So currently right now, according to On3, we lead the way 93.2. Love seeing that. Again, that is a cornerback, I believe. So everyone kind of being concerned on cornerback play. Look, I mean, it's starting to kind of thicken up a little bit. Devin Manuel, offensive tackle. Love this. We haven't, Tarquin was crystal ball to us at one point. I haven't checked on him. I can once Dave starts talking here in just a moment. But obviously we got Crenshaw that's already committed. We get Devin Manuel, 6'8", 300-pound offensive tackle from Arkansas. Look, I love this. I love the addition of getting offensive tackles with a lot of snaps. Something I want to say off the record really quick. Micah Mazuka, who also entered into the portal a few weeks before, which again, kind of all around that same type of conversation that I was having. People were concerned about that. But if you've been, I look, this, I just kind of monitor things from the outside. I try to look and see what's happening. He's posting practice film. Well, the reason I bring that up is go look at guys that enter the portal. Most of these guys, they enter the portal and they go, they have visits set up automatically, or they're already committed because either tampering's been happening, or they're just that hot of a prospect. When you see guys posting practice film, it usually isn't a good sign. That's just from experience. This is not me taking shots, just me simply observing what I've witnessed over the past 2 years of the transfer portal. When you got guys posting practice films, doesn't usually, they'll go somewhere. Usually they can find a home, but it's not because they're being heavily touted. And so a lot of people were kind of concerned on Micah Mazuka leaving. Leads me to believe there may have been more of a, hey, we've got guys coming in, you're not going to play. That's just my thought. Then again, Casas Howell, who we were just talking about, he's also 100% crystal balled at the moment, 2-on-3. These things can change, right? We're just giving you kind of the feel at. And then Grayson Howard, Keith Neighbor put a 60% projection in. Why you shouldn't get excited, though, again, I know these things are just crystal balls, is the safety from South Alabama was crystal balled by Corey Bender to come to Florida. And then literally, I think like a couple hours later, was announced he would be visiting Mississippi State and no longer will be visiting Florida. Now, the reason being is going around is either whether it's an injury or grades, whatever have you. It was a more of a mutual decision versus him not choosing Florida. It wasn't Billy couldn't close. It was a business deal that couldn't work out. So as of now, if we were to land these four that were crystal ball, not including the ones, we're not including George Gums or John Humphreys or Ratcliffe. I mean, this right here, should excite you on what is to come? Dave?
Yeah, you also got Ohio State wide receiver Bryson Rogers that's
Oh, thank
going
you.
to visit, or he has contacted Florida, and he hasn't had that much, I guess, starting experience as there is, but at least you're getting a good bit 3 to 4 years out of the guy. He does seem to have a lot of good speed. I noticed he went down in his recruiting ranking a little bit because he played. I guess he had played better competition somewhere else, and I didn't. I don't know if he looked great or not, but anything. But either way, you need a wide receiver. You need some kind of a little bit experienced wide receiver out there. And, Bryson Rogers has been contacted. We don't know who else they're going to contact there in the portal, but it does make me question like, okay, well, you do have speedier wide receivers on your roster already, like Eugene Wilson, Aiden Mazzell, and Andy Jean. And are we not going to see these guys next year? Will we see a little bit of them? Will we see them two guys out there? Uh, Obviously, you're going to see Eugene Wilson. I mean, that's a guy that has obviously got speed. He has track speed. He has big, quick twitch ability. So he's pretty much your slot guy out there. He can go deep as well. Um, but yeah, I do question the fact that they're going after more than one wide receiver, maybe two. But at the same time, like I don't know what the staff is thinking, but I know Grayson Howard, there, a guy that I've been informed that the chances of him coming to Florida is really, really, really strong. And of course, you got the Bowling Green edge there. I think if you were to get the Bowling Green edge and Grayson Howard, people would be really, really happy right now. Um, but like as I said, a lot of these guys that are really, really good at these lower tier programs are guys you do take a chance on. But when you put on the film, especially with Cassius Howell, Grayson Howard, I mean, they pop off the tape. So those are good portal additions if you can grab them. Some of the other guys you may be, I always call it scratching a lottery ticket. They may be good, they may be not good
Sure.
when they University of Florida, but at the end of the day, you gotta fill up your roster. Obviously, you lost a lot of guys, but if you can get guys that are just ready to play, and this is the situation Billy Napier's in right now, because this year, if he does not do good, he's probably out the door. So you need guys that can immediately start. So maybe this is why they are going into the portal, just in case, they roll out somebody like an Aiden Mazzell or an Andy Jean, and maybe they don't live up to their, star potential, which I don't think that's going to happen. Okay, well, now you got an experienced guy you can roll out there and hopefully help you out. So I think we're going to see a lot of rotation, wide receiver wise. But as far as edge and your defensive line, you need to get guys that can immediately start right away because your defensive line wasn't that great. You need some offensive linemen, which is why I'm glad that we have the offensive lineman visiting there too, Devin. And I don't know, I like is the offensive line is just weird in the portal. Like you're either going to get a good one or you're not. I think we've seen that already with the guys that we got in the portal last year, Damian George. Um, but
Look,
yeah,
I think Damian George. I think he stays. You move him to guard. I believe he'll have more success than he will in tackle. So that could have just been him. Just hey, we were obviously shorthanded. We needed to extend you, and I think that might have been why Mazuka's leaving. Because think about how this line's going to unfold. If we get Devin Manuel, Michael Tarquin is still projected to come to Florida over Kentucky by a few percentage, so it's close. So we'll see how that plays out. On top of Crenshaw, and Barber as well. But Barber, I think, played a little bit of guard as well on top of Najee Harris, who was making strides, right? So that's a guard position that now Micah Mazuka is fighting for, on top of Fletcher Westfall. So I think, again, you look at it, it's like, hey, you're going to be pushed out because Damian George is getting this spot. We got Najee Harris, who's up and coming, Fletcher Westfall, who's up and coming. All these guys that you're going to be fighting for maybe a starting position, which is exciting. That's a good problem to have, a problem we've lacked on the offensive line. Look, I think offensive line is definitely something that is a focus of need here.
you
So
stole what I was about to say. I was going to say, yeah, you can move Damian George. So yeah, you're right though. You're right.
yeah,
So,
look, I love Damian George at guard. When he played there, he was much better. He just doesn't got the feet to move on the edge. But when he was in guard, I feel like the line functioned better. But why we didn't do that? Again, I'm not on the football field. I don't know. But even just talking with Stephen Harris about it, that was something he agreed with when we discussed that he needs to move positions. Big boy does his job. Just put in the right role. So there we go. Good stuff there on the transfer portal. Very exciting stuff. Again, all these guys are visiting today. This was the first day they were allowed to visit because the portal now is officially not allowed to. I think they were allowed. Yeah, this was like an allowed official visit was today once the portal actually closed. Now, just so you're all clear, by the portal closing, nobody can enter into it. People can still obviously commit to a school. And I imagine these commits would happen very soon, which is another thing why I said these lists are very important and these visits are important because they want to commit before the next school semester starts. So I believe they only have about 10 days, 10 to 15 days before that semester starts. So they're going to want to be committed to a school, moved in, and all these things
Mm,
within a week or so. So I expect it to be kind of hopping here over the next few weeks, and then I think we'll have a little bit of a gap, and then we'll have the second maybe a second wind of recruiting for 2024 because we do have another signing period in February 4th. I don't know if we're going to go after anybody, but there is a window there. So something we'll definitely be keeping an eye on.